Hi guys, Ricky Pope here, and today on the Christian Nerds Unite podcast, I talk with Jula Wren, the Mandalorian of Tucson, and share some nerdy news. And we'll get to all of that right after this. 2022 is flying by so fast, and I just reviewed my goals for the year. It's not too late to set some effective goals for 2022 for yourself. And the Goal Process 101 ebook helps you do just that. With a straightforward process and practical exercises, you'll be guided to set the right goals for you and set out a plan to achieve them. Get your copy of the Goal Process 101 ebook by going to goalprocess101.com. Use CNU2022 at checkout to save 10%. Now, back to the show. Today on the show, I talk with Jula Wren about how he is using a Mandalorian cosplay for more than just fun. He's making a difference in his community. But let's start with some scripture and some nerdy news. Hebrews 10:24 through 25. And let us consider how we may spur one another on toward love and good deeds, not giving up meeting together as some are in the habit of doing, but encouraging one another, and all the more as you see the day approaching. And I think this one really speaks to what Jula Wren is doing in Tucson. Romans 12:4 through 8. For just as each of you has one body with many members, and these members do not all have the same function, so in Christ we, though many, form one body, and each member belongs to all the others. We have different gifts according to the grace given to each of us. If your gift is prophesying, then prophesy in accordance with your faith. If it is serving, then serve. If it is teaching, then teach. If it is to encourage, then give encouragement. If it is giving, then give generously. If it is to lead, do it diligently. If it is to show mercy, do it cheerfully. Now, some quick nerdy news before we get into our interview with Jula Wren. Morbius, starring Jared Leto, panned by critics with a 17% on Rotten Tomatoes. I haven't seen anything that low in a long time. But with an audience rating of 70%, actually took the box office first place with just over $39 million over the weekend. So it looks like the audience definitely does not agree with the critics. Dune wins big at the Oscars with 10 nominations. It walks away with 6 wins in cinematography, editing, score, visual effects, and production design and sound. A beautifully produced film, and I think those wins confirm that. It is definitely worth watching again if you've seen it once, and if you haven't seen it yet, you owe it to yourself to watch Dune. Star Wars new Disney Plus series Obi-Wan Kenobi release date has been delayed by 2 days from Wednesday, May 25th to Friday, May 27th. The May 25th release date was touted as a special day because it was going to be the 45th anniversary of Episode 4, A New Hope. Other than wanting the show to be on Fridays instead of on Wednesdays, there's no real clear reason for the change. 2 episodes will drop that day, and I honestly can't wait to watch. Christopher Lloyd will be in the cast of The Mandalorian Season 3 that just wrapped up filming, along with all the usual cast. We are expecting Bo-Katan's group of Mandalorians to resurface, and finally, with the Darksaber in play and Mando's honor at stake, expect a trip to the homeworld of Mandalore at some point. We are hoping to see Season 3 later this year. That's all the nerdy news I have time to share with you today, and it seems fitting that we ended with The Mandalorian, since today we are interviewing Jula Wren, the Mandalorian of Tucson. You may have seen videos of Jula Wren riding around on his motorcycle in the Tucson area. If you haven't, you owe it to yourself to check them out. There are tons of videos. Jula did become enamored with the Mandalorian series and started a cosplay riding his motorcycle around town, as I said, and soon he realized he could use this persona for good. I'll let him share more. Jula Wren, it is so great to have you on the Christian Nerds Unite podcast. The Mandalorian of Tucson, as you are known.
Right.
Tell us a little bit about who Jula Wren is.
I am Jula, the Mandalorian of Tucson. What I do is every weekend or every weekend I get a chance, I try to get out on my speeder bike and I ride around town and do good deeds for kids. I go up to random parks and hand out patches. I hand out mythosaur patches that you can see right here.
Nice.
I hand out patches like that, and if they have that patch, that means they can tell people that they're actual Mandalorians. They're actually foundlings. And I hadn't thought about it until about last year, so not even last year, but almost 2 years ago. I was still new to Star Wars and the Mandalorian, and somebody said you should start your own house, and I had no idea what that meant. I don't know what these people are talking. This is Star Wars lingo, and I was never into any of that stuff. So whenever I started looking into it, I got into if we get started on how I got started on the Mandalorian idea concept, it was back in 2020 before all the lockdowns and the stuff that was going on. And a friend of mine, when I was overseas, I was working. I could just say I was living the real Mandalorian life. And one of my friends, he was a former Army Ranger, and we were working together as independent contractors. And he had decided to take a task order, take a contract in Afghanistan. I stayed in Iraq, but when he went to Afghanistan, I guess he had some more spare time. And back on Facebook, when I had my own personal page, he was like tagging me in all of this Star Wars Mandalorian stuff. He's like, this guy's just like us, man. He's a total, he's awesome. I was like, dude, I just kind of scrolled past the post, and then he did it again, and then he did it a third time. It was the second trailer of the first season of Mandalorian. And so I was like, all right, man, why are you bothering me with this nerdy stuff? So I clicked on it, and I saw the trailer. I was like, oh, man, this is like some kind of like space Western, man. This is all right. I mean, let me watch this. So then I watched the first episode, and I was hooked ever since. I was like, oh, my gosh, I can actually identify with this guy with the creed. And, you swear to allegiance and honor, loyalty, sacrifice. I mean, that's what it is here on the flag, strength, honor, and loyalty on the Mandalorian flag. I was like, dude, that's the kind of lifestyle we come from. He came from a Ranger regiment. I came from an air assault infantry unit. And then we both became independent contractors working as civilian contractors overseas. And it was like, wow, that's what the Mandalorian, or at least that's what Din Djarin, but most of the Mandalorians that left after Mandalore was taken out, they were all working as independent contractors. I was like, man, I can identify with this guy's lifestyle, his commitment. And when when it was time for him to go back and save Grogu, at the time they didn't have a name, it was just Baby Yoda that took over the world. I was like, man, this guy has good morals, good character. Yeah, if he has to violate the creed to save a child, I was like, man, that could have been me at any moment. I mean, that's just unbelievable. So I was able to identify with a lot of the character, not of Din Djarin, but of the Mandalorians. So before I got more into it, I studied their history, I studied their culture. I had to learn like Star Wars lingo, and I had to learn the whole Star Wars fandom stuff because a lot of stuff wasn't making sense to me. I was like, I didn't know.
Oh yeah.
What the timelines represented. They didn't use our timelines; they used different timelines, and
yeah.
So then when you follow the timelines of what was this guy, Jango Fett, the cloned so-called father of Boba Fett. I guess when you start following the timelines and then you start going back, and I started looking into Sabine Wren, a history of the Darksaber. I watched this insanely long documentary about the Mandalorians it wasn't really much to do with Star Wars. It was an actual documentary on the history of Mandalorians. And it seemed to me that whoever, I don't know if it was, you know, what's that guy's name? Paul Smith or Paul Joseph Smith. He's one of the Star Wars writers and advisors. And the people that were creating the Mandalorian idea, it seemed like some of the things that they had incorporated into the idea of a Mandalorian was like a mixture between like a mixture between patriotism, samurai warrior code, and the original 1800 Wild West man of your word type thing. So combining all of that kind of that foundation of strength and loyalty and honor, it was one of those, it was almost like 100% accountable warrior ethos. And I thought, man, when I started seeing that Mandalorian is not a race, it's a creed, and the creed is a set of values that almost mirrored the creed of infantrymen, operators, samurais, honorable Western cowboy marshals, and I thought, man, this is where it's at. This is unbelievable. So I started doing more research into it, and I was like, man, I was watching I was watching it over and over again. Every night I come home from the gym, I go to work all day, and then go to the gym and come home. Put in a full, 14-hour day, and turn on the Mandalorian, have a glass of tea, and just rewatch episodes. Like, man, this is unbelievable. When season 2 came out, and then I watched the Book of Boba Fett. But after season 1, it was in, I want to say February 2020. In March of the next month, I bought a motorcycle, and I've never ridden one in my life. I'm an older fellow, so just to give you an idea, my son, he's a tattoo artist and a personal trainer in Florida, so that's how old I am. Okay. But I bought a motorcycle, never rode one in my life. I bought a speeder bike, 2020 sports bike, and started learning how to ride it and getting good at it. And I was like, man, I don't like this cheap stock helmet that this dealership asked me to buy. So I took my old helmet that I actually wore in Iraq. This is my actual helmet that I wore. But I didn't, this here, people think it's a full helmet. It's actually a 2-piece. You could see.
Yeah.
It's actually just a face shield. You could buy this face shield and then mount it to this helmet. That's why you could still see that I have a night vision capability here. I could mount on my night vision and flip it down.
Nice.
Yeah, so I decided I'm going to do that. So I was just riding around with the helmet, and people were like, oh, that's so cool. And everybody was smiling and laughing and having a good time. Just me riding around trying to learn how to ride a motorcycle without getting into an accident.
And I think I heard about you originally from seeing a video on Facebook of you riding past someone on your motorcycle and your helmet.
Yeah, there's been a bunch of videos. So the one that I can remember, there's 2 that I know of that got millions of views. It was when I had just got my full body armor together. Like, I was like, okay, I'm going all in. I'm putting all the armor on. I bought Grogu. He's going to ride on the back of the speeder bike. And I guess somebody had filmed me, standing up on my motorcycle. And then the other one was me saluting them and saying hi. And it was unbelievable. All of a sudden, it was like, man, it took off. And so the whole idea of giving out the patches and starting my own little clan is called the Western Mandalorian Ranger Clan. And I got the idea from, since we're out here in the West, it kind of looks like Mos Pelgo or something like that, or I guess they renamed it Freetown, but it's kind of the West here. So I was like, well, I can identify with that. And in the military is an 11 Bravo, in the Army, that's an infantryman, but the highest standard of that is the Rangers. But being a Ranger in Arizona or Texas is more catered to law enforcement. So it's kind of like a hybrid mix of being a Southwest Ranger / military slash just a fun organization group to be a part of. It's not an official organization. It's just when kids walk around town, or when kids are at, like, these festivals that we're having at the rodeo and stuff like that, they'll walk around with the patch that I gave them. They'll have it on their hat or on their shirt or something, or the Girl Scouts have it actually sewn on the back of their vests because it's authorized. And people will say, "Hey, you're a foundling, Jula." And it's like, oh my God, it's turning into a thing. And ever since then, it's been going wild. So now it's like, after starting on year 3, I didn't think it was going to get this far. It was just me just riding around, handing out some cool stuff, take some pictures. It wasn't even about taking the pictures. I was just going to surprise people and ride around because I thought it looked cool. I was just turning into a little kid that I never got to be growing up. So it's like, oh man, I get to dress up as a Mandalorian and ride around on a motorcycle. And then everybody was like, man, that is so cool. Man, people were messaging me. Next thing you know, I was on the news a bunch of times. People did articles about me. And it just went across the nation. Now I got followers, places I never even heard of, like Hobart, Tanzania. I was like, Hobart, Tanzania? I'm looking at this person's profile. I was like, is this a bot or is this for real? And then people will message me from other countries. I can tell they're being genuine because their English is not the best. But I can tell that they're really saying that, again, they're just telling me how much of a great thing I am. And, some people, there was one guy in, what was it? Not Italy, Greece. He said, he asked me when I'm going to come to Europe. Right around, I was like, oh my gosh, these people wanted to come to Europe. And next thing you know, somebody saw the post. And then I was getting people from Oslo, Norway, and places, Copenhagen, of course, the UK and Germany and stuff like that. I was like, wow, am I really, like, is this really happening? I mean, all I do is just ride around this sleepy small city called Tucson. It's like taking off, and like the news wants me there to do more videos. And the guy that, there's one of the local news outlets, the cameraman and one of the video editors, they were like, hey, anytime you want to like do cool videos, or you want to do like TikTok, or you want to make some fun stuff, just let me know. I can do that, man. This would be great. And I thought, man, I can't believe this is becoming a thing. Oh, I mean, I seriously, there was, when it first started, it was just me riding around the city and riding around parks and stuff like that, just saying hi to people. And if I see some kids, here's a patch and a gift card, go get some ice cream and celebrate today you're a Mandalorian. And then it took off, and it had no intention of this happening. There was no intention of this. I had no, I mean, like this picture frame here, it says Arizona's Heart and Soul. I was nominated as Arizona's Heart and Soul.
Nice.
Are you kidding me right now? This is unbelievable. And then there's other things I've been nominated for. I have other things here hanging on the wall that, these were all things that the community voted for. And next thing you know, somebody had messaged me and said, hey, we heard you on the radio, and they recorded it on their phone. They're like, hey, it's Jula, the Mandalorian of Tucson, his very own Mandalorian. I was like, very own Mandalorian? Are you? Oh, it's like, man, this is unbelievable. This is how much this has taken off. So it's been an incredible journey getting to this point, and all because of a friend of mine who's a former Ranger just decided to tag me in a bunch of stuff. Yeah, had he not tagged me, none of this would have happened.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Well, and you have been using this to do good. And I know one of the things that you made a comment on in your Facebook page is, you just want to make people smile. You want to make people feel good. Has it become, I know you said you never intended this to be more than just you riding around having some fun yourself. And it has really outgrown what it originally was intended to be. Are you making it more intentional now?
I don't have to make it intentional. I just look at my inbox and I see all the people's requests. It's gotten to a point now that I've had to set up a spreadsheet. Like today, just before we got on, I'm supposed to be, this wasn't even on my schedule, but somebody had made a last second plan for me to show up during the week. I said I couldn't because of work. And they asked me to show up. I was like, sure, after this interview, I can meet you at whatever park and we can meet your son or your grandson Gavin, and if he wants to be a Mandalorian, he's like, he can't wait, he can't wait. But he doesn't know you're coming. He just loves you. He just loves you so much. And I was like, wow, that's unbelievable. That there's people here that know who I am. I'm a household name into some of these people's houses. And I've been to one house where they invited me over for a barbecue, and the people across the street were more excited to see me than the ones invited me. I was like, what? So I was like, yeah. So it was kind of like a dual barbecue. Next thing you know, they came over. Like, we saw you on the news. I saw you on TikTok. I saw that video of you, doing your thing on your motorcycle on Speedway, and then we saw you on the I-10 video. I was like, oh, that's so cool. And I was just at we had this festival last week. It's like a gemstone festival where people bring their rocks and gems and stuff like that to this festival, and there's this like crosswalk, they call them hawks. You just hit the button and it turns yellow, the light turns yellow and then red, then the pedestrians get the right of way to cross the street. And so I slowed down and intentionally, just so I can not try to speed past it. And there was a group of older ladies walking by across the street, and I was the first vehicle. I was probably 5 feet away from crosswalk. I mean, because there's no boundary, so you could just pull up and it's kind of a smaller street. And this lady was these old ladies were walking by. There was 4 or 5 of them walking by, but the one closest to me, I could see that she was the only one looking at me and smiling. And then she was like doing this with her hands. I could tell she was nervous. And then as she came right in front of my motorcycle, she was walking by. She was like, "Hi, I saw you on the news. You're a good man." I was like, "Oh my God, I'm gonna fall off my motorcycle. That's so cool." And she gave me a hug and took a picture real quick while the light was still red. I was like, "Oh my gosh, this is not what I didn't mean for it to go this far. It's like unbelievable. It's so crazy." And now it's gone all over the place.
Well, I know recently the Girl Scouts recognized you. You mentioned them earlier. I was specifically interested in that little story because my girls, which are grown now as well, my girls were both long-term Girl Scouts, and my wife was a Girl Scout leader for many years. How did the Girl Scout thing start happening?
It started off back it was still early in 2020. And one of the parents of one of the foundlings, she was a big Star Wars fan, and she liked the whole Jedi thing. And as I learned over the years of studying Star Wars at Mandalorian, that Mandalorians see Jedis as enemy sorcerers. And I thought, well, how would I ever become an interest to her? But if she likes Jedis, then hey, I guess I can show up. So she had asked me to show up and meet her daughter and one of her friends, but I didn't know they were Girl Scouts. I was just there to talk to them about. I was just there to show up and give them the patch and a gift card and stuff like that. And what I do is, whenever I stick around, when parents wanted to stick around and want me to talk to their kids, I always push the idea of STEM: science, technology, engineering, mathematics, medicine, foreign languages, things like that will help them improve themselves academically. And I always try to push, to get them to learn that kind of stuff, and to get the future generation to be more scientifically orientated. And as an aeronautical engineer, now that I've transitioned careers to being an engineer, no longer living the Mandalorian life as an independent contractor, I've learned that when you continue to see things more, when you're able to see things more academically, things become more sound to you, and you start to see things differently. Like, oh, I understand and I get it. And it can make the kids a lot more, how would I put this? They'd be more beneficial to a community when they could become an inventor. They can invent something through science, technology, engineering, mathematics, and they could design something that could help somebody, save somebody's life, or even so much so as to design a better light bulb. I mean, we got light bulbs zapping out every week. So, I mean, why don't we just get these kids to maybe start getting them more involved to create more future Mandalorian scientists in the community. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And so whenever I came to go see her, I was like, well, bring her in and I'll give her the patch and I'll make, because I record the videos on my GoPro, and I'll call her the first female or the first Jedi Mandalorian, and she comes from Troop 60, so I just renamed it the Jedi Order 60 or Jedi Troop Order 60 as a part of the Mandalorian tribe, as part of the clan. And so she's the second Jedi Mandalorian foundling in the clan. And when I found out they were Girl Scouts, her mom was like, yeah, she's a Girl Scout too. She wants you to come hang out. As soon as I came hang out with the Girl Scouts, it was like, next thing you know, we got Troop 678, we got Troop 1284. We got so many troops. I have it written down. I have to keep a list of them and to try to remember all the troops. So every weekend I'm going to see troops. Tomorrow I'm going to see what troop? I have to go back and check. There's so many troops, but there's
Yes.
one little girl in this troop that her name's Bailey, and she's 5 years old, I believe. And whenever I go to see this troop, the first thing that she does is she runs up to me and grabs my hand and holds my hand and doesn't let go. It's the most unbelievable thing. And there's times that I've pulled up into parks and neighborhoods where I could tell the neighborhood's probably not the safest neighborhood, but since I've been doing this long enough now, I can go into any neighborhood, no matter how dangerous or nice it is. I can go. I have a pass anywhere here in Tucson, but I can go into some neighborhoods where I would think, yeah, it's kind of sketchy, but I know no one's going to do anything. But maybe there's some kids that maybe live in a fortunate household that maybe their parents can afford Disney Plus and allow their kids to see Grogu and Baby Yoda, and then some of them I could tell have never watched Star Wars or seen The Mandalorian, never heard of Grogu. So they'll see me, and there's some kids that will stop and get scared and kind of start running, and I'm like, oh. But then the kids that are running away, the other kids will see that what they're running from, and they're like, no, that's the Mandalorian. So then you'll see kids crossing each other, one running away, a few running away, and then a whole group, a whole slew of them following me and trying to chase me down. So it's actually pretty cool to see some of these kids are like, oh, and then the ones that were scared end up coming back and they're like, oh, that's so cool. Then they go back home and show their parents. And then I'll get some random message from some parent saying that, hey, you saw my kid at the park and they have a patch and they're so happy. And then they'll send me pictures of them eating the ice cream or the gift card that I give them. And now then they said that they've never even heard of Star Wars The Mandalorian. Now they want Mandalorian backpacks and T-shirts. I was like, oh, no.
Not my fault.
Yeah. And so whenever they do where I can find a store, I got people that will message me and send me pictures of like a grocery store or Costco or whatever art shop where they're selling Mandalorian stuff. There'll be, a whole shelf of backpacks and blankets and a bunch of Mandalorian stuff. If there's a sale going on, I'll spend $200 on a whole bunch of stuff. Just fill up my duffel bag and just ride around and hand it out to parks. Find kids, give them a backpack, and they'll be like, "Oh, it's a Mandalorian backpack," and then they'll open it up and see a little blanket or a fleece or something, and then I'll ask them, "Hey, you want to be a Mandalorian like me?" But they already know the question is coming. After a couple of years, they know it's coming. So some of the kids are the ones that are close to teenagers. They're expecting the gift card. They want that ice cream gift card and the patch. That's all they want. They don't care about any toys. They're like, they just want the patch and the gift card. I want to be able to wear that patch everywhere I go and have that ice cream. And then I keep up with foundlings. I don't just see them once and leave. I keep up with a lot of them. And about 6 months ago, I went to visit one of the foundlings, and his name's Wyatt. He keeps his patch everywhere he goes, and he was like, and the patches I was giving out when I first saw him, he was probably, I think, like the 17th foundling in the beginning. I'm up to over 400 now.
Oh wow!
But yeah, our clan is heavy. And when I went to go visit him, he's like, "Yeah, this is the first patch." I forgot the patches that I was giving out in the first year. The vendors don't make them anymore, so I've moved to a new vendor, and the quality's still the same. There's just a different shape of the patch.
Oh, yeah.
And he had pulled his patch out of his pocket, and it had felt like it had been done 3 tours in Afghanistan. I was like, what did you do to it? And his mom smiled and was like, he brings his patch everywhere he goes. He doesn't go anywhere. He's traveled to New York with it. He goes everywhere. If he forgets anything, it won't be the patch. He's forgot his boarding pass, but he made sure he had his patch. I was like, oh my gosh, my man is my little dude Wyatt. He tries to attend festivals with me. I bought him a helmet too. I bought him an actual helmet. The helmet's just as an FYI for everybody listening. This isn't a plug for Etsy, but I buy the helmets off of Etsy from a guy. The vendor's name is Zero Cool Prop Shop, and the reason why is because it's not 3D printed. This guy hand makes his helmets, and it takes about 2 weeks to a month, depending on how long. Because of the material he has to do, he has to put the material on it, then let it rest, and let it sit for 24 to 48 hours to dry, and then he'll put more material on it, more material. And it's all handmade, custom made individually. This isn't 3D printed in some factory. This is handmade right here in America. I think he's based out of Tennessee. So each helmet is about $170. So maybe once a month or every other month, whenever these foundlings that are really dedicated and want me in their lives, and I know a birthday's coming up. I mean, I got a couple helmets right now sitting over here in my culver here, and ready to be unboxed, and I still have to take all the paper out and the packaging and stuff. But I set it up to when I bring them the box. I mean, I've done it long enough now that when they see Jula walking up with a box, the kids know what time it is. They're like, "Oh my god, am I gonna get a helmet? Am I gonna get a helmet? Is it really happening? I'm gonna be a Mandalorian for real this time." And then they'll actually take the patch that I gave them, whether it been a month or 6 months ago. They'll take that same weathered up patch that I gave them, and they'll put it on the back of their helmet just like I do.
Nice.
It's unbelievable. And I also buy them their own kafayas. This is the actual kafaya I wore in Iraq. But I always ask the parents, what's his or her favorite color? And then they'll say, oh, their favorite color is this. And then I'll go buy a kafaya just like mine, but in their favorite color.
Nice.
So they'll get the helmet and a kafaya. And then they'll put the same patch that I gave them, whether it be a year ago or a month ago, they'll put it on the back of their helmet. Like, I'm just like Jula for a part of the clan. I was like, yeah, Western Mandalorian Ranger clan. But yeah.
I know a lot of the people who listen to this show are into different fandoms, not necessarily all Star Wars, but I know some of them would be super interested in figuring out how to do good with their fandom. And do you have any just basic recommendations for somebody who just wants to, start trying to do good with their fandom?
Man, that is a absolutely good question. Well, when I first started doing this, I tried to get other people to do it, and for some reason, I don't know what's going on in the world today, but this was back in 2020. People thought I was crazy, and people were saying inappropriate things about me and certain Facebook pages. And it was actually kind of good because there were people actually coming to my defense. People I had no idea who these people were, and they would come to my defense. And I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. People are defending me. They have no idea who I am. So I kind of gave up on trying to influence other adults. I try to now influence the children to get them to be more kind and understanding and be more academically sound, have some self-strength, and learn to be more smart in school, and trying to get other adults to do things. I would say that if they wanted to get out and do good within their community, I would just say don't try to. What helped me was I stopped caring what the public thought, and I stopped caring what others said, and I focused my visor right on that child that looks at me and says, I want to grow up to be like you. Man, that is the focus. Okay, don't worry about what other people have to say. If you can influence one child, let that be the motivation. All right, that is where it should go. Don't worry about what others say. If you can influence one child to smile and say, you're so cool, let that be the motivation to keep going. I mean, just let your motive of doing good with your identity, whether you're dressing up as a Jedi or whether you're dressing up as a Marvel character, or you like DC or Batman, that's fun stuff. People love to see that, and even if you're dressed up as a stormtrooper, believe it or not, people actually like that. I don't know
Yeah.
how, but hey, even if you're dressed up like that, if you can just spread one smile to a child, you're effectively changing their life. I mean, because you don't know, had you never got up and did this, like, I don't know. I think about this very often when I'm in the gym working out, and I think back to kids that some of the foundlings in the early time when I first started doing it in 2020. And this was during like lockdowns and people were afraid of being around each other. At that time, kids saw me and it was like coronavirus disappeared. They were like, "What coronavirus? We got the Mandalorian here. We got a Mandalorian in our presence." And so uh, I think about, some of these foundlings from 2020, that have helmets and they have the patch and they have the kafaya. Some of them already got whole outfits and costumes I've done pictures with and went to functions with them. And I wonder, like, where would they be today if they never got a helmet, they never got a patch, they never got a kafaya, they just lived their lives as if I never existed. I wonder where they would be. I wonder what their inspiration and motivations would be, because some of the foundlings now, like one of the earlier ones, his name is Tanner. He goes by the Raptor foundling because he wants to be an F-22 Raptor pilot when he grows up.
Mhm.
So the Raptor foundling is riding a motorcycle and he's 6 years old. Yeah, so he's either 6 or 8. I keep getting all of the ages mixed up. They're all between 4 and 9. But either way, I think I think he's 8. I take that back. He might be 8, but he's riding a dirt bike out in the desert. I mean, it's just unbelievable how much influence that I've had on these kids. And it's like, I do think back and I wonder, like, what if I never did this? Like, where would they be
Mhm.
today? Like, where would little Alexandra be? Where would Tanner be? Where would, Alexis be? Where would these kids be if I
Mhm.
never came to their Girl Scout booths and helped them sell Girl Scout cookies? Or where would I be if I never came to their birthday party? Or where would I be if, like, for example, not too long ago, I was asked by a school teacher at Vesey Elementary School here in Tucson, and she asked me. She did we pulled up a Zoom interview, and then when she pulled up the Zoom interview, all these windows popped up out of nowhere, and it was the whole class. I was like, "Whoa! I didn't see this one coming." So now next to you, I'm giving a speech, and something I thought it was just going to be a few questions and some fun stuff and how do we do good deeds. And it turned into, a speech. I was sitting there talking to the whole class, giving a motivational speech, emphasizing why you should do good in school and how it can make life better for you and for everybody in the community. When you build something good, or you become a pilot, or you study medicine, you could save people's lives. And I could see I wish I had recorded it. I mean, I was trying not to laugh because some of the kids got like this close to the camera and their mouths were wide open, like just wide, their mouths were just wide open and gawking and staring. And then they would like sit back and the camera would pan out and then behind them was their whole family just watching. And I was like, holy moly. I've been talking to the kids and their families.
Nice.
And then from there, it just kept on spreading. So it's been an incredible journey. And I feel like even though I'm starting year 3, it almost feels like it's just still beginning because I'm still meeting people. I'm still going to people's houses. I still got another meetup tonight. I got another one tomorrow with another Girl Scout troop. So it's going to be, it's going to be fun.
That sounds like a blast.
Oh
Well,
yeah.
you mentioned you're just entering year 3. Do you see? Do you have an idea of what the future for the Mandalorian of Tucson is going to be?
That I don't know because, how would I put this? Um, the reason why is because I've been messaged by certain people that have sent me certain things that, it would have been a hell of an offer if I took it. Let's just say it would be a hell of an offer if I took it. And I would have, if I had taken the offer, I know that I would have immediately been perceived as somebody who was trying to seek financial benefit.
Hmm.
And so I've had to turn down an offer on something that I want to get into, but There's some other things that people ask me to get involved with that I know that if I did get involved with this stuff, that especially one offer that I had, and then another one, I'll just use the term politically orientated. Had I taken these offers for whether it's entertainment or political orientation, I would have financially benefited greatly. But then I would have lost the motive. I would have lost the narrative. Like this is for my community. This is for my people. This is for the children here
Mm.
and the people across America and around the world that watch my videos and they message me. You know, I mean, every other day. Sometimes it'll be a streak of every day that I'll just get a random message from somebody like in Wisconsin or something, or in Utah or in South Carolina. Somebody messaged me saying, "Man, I saw your videos, man. You are a great person. I can't believe you've been doing it for this long and you're making people feel good and
Or
through all
or
the
some
crazy hard times that's going on in the
or some
world."
rando from Oklahoma who saw you on the
Oh yeah,
internet
some
and wanted you to come on
guy.
the podcast.
One of my earliest followers that friended me and was following me is from Oklahoma. She was following. Her name's Danielle Walker. Shout out to Danielle Walker. She is the one that was like sharing my work, and this is back when I had like 30 friends on Facebook, and that was it. I didn't have a fan page. I didn't have a TikTok. I didn't have anything. I still wondered like, how did these people find me? Like, they have no idea who I am. So I don't have any family or friends here in Tucson. I'm just by myself. I live alone. And so I wonder, like, how did these people in Oklahoma, of all places, find me? So she was one of them. And I was like, wow, that is unbelievable. So I was like, wow, how are these people knowing? But yeah, all these people messaging me around and telling me that how I'm doing great things. And it's like, as far as what the future holds, right now, I'm going to stay as local as possible. I mean, I know people are trying to pull me into things that because I have a big influence on people. I know people are trying to, I wouldn't say pull me in, but they would like me to be a part of their operation, whether it
Mm.
be like an entertainment orientated or politically orientated. I just stay away from any of those commitments because I want the world to know that my commitment is right here in Tucson because I mean, what there's nothing else for these kids to look up to. I mean, when you say Tucson, Arizona, who name me your top 3 notable people. Most people can barely name one or two. They'll say, "Oh, well, Rob Gronkowski played football there, or DeAndre Ayton," but they didn't do anything for the community here, for the kids. They didn't do anything like that. Once they got
Mm.
their fat paycheck and they bounced, they never came back ever again. They left Tucson because Tucson's got a bad reputation. And so it's kind of like, coming here and it's like being I guess that's one reason why it got taken by storm is because into the storm here in Tucson, Arizona, people just was like, "Wow, this is unbelievable!" And I've had some of the most funniest accusations. Like some people thought I was actually Pedro Pascal. Some people thought that I was actually some rich millionaire that decided to leave Hollywood and move to Tucson, and it was unbelievable. Some of the funniest stories. One person thought I was a hologram. And I was like, okay, this is
Okay.
yeah, because I used to do live streams on my Facebook when I had time, and I
Mm.
would answer people's questions in the community, and I would only do it on Facebook, not on YouTube or any other place, because I don't want people to donate. People will send me well if I go on platforms where people will send me donations
Mm.
then I have no other way of playing the whole tax game, and I don't want to have to hire a CPA and again and start going through all of this. It's just much easier if I just buy it out of my own pocket, just pay for it out of my own pocket, do my live streams on Facebook. That way, it's impossible for anybody to donate to me or give me any money or send me links that because I have no link. I don't have a Patreon or Subscribe Star or anything like that.
Mm.
So it's almost virtually impossible to donate to me. I will say there is one way to do it, but I'm not going to tell you. And I expect to not see a donation. Now, out of the thousands and thousands of people that follow me, I mean, almost 5,000 on TikTok and thousands on Facebook, and of course now the thousands that follow you will see there's only two people in the last almost 3 years that have cracked the code and found out how to donate to me secretly. And so one of them is in Washington and the other one is in Virginia. You two know who you are if you're watching, okay? I'll give a hint to their names if they ever watch this, okay? Genie in a bottle and here kitty kitty, okay? They somehow crack the code. So what I do is if I see that, what I do is say one of them donated a $50 gift card. So what I do is I match their donation, and then I take the proof of what they bought, and I'll take a picture of the receipt of all of the patches that I bought for the foundlings, or when I say the children, and then I hand them out and they become foundlings.
Mm-hmm.
And then I will make the videos and I will tag every single video of the foundling they sponsor. So if you go back and watch all my videos of foundlings that I meet, you'll see in the bottom of the description it says sponsored, patch sponsored by so and so, shirt sponsored by so and so, gift card sponsored by so and so. You'll see it 5 videos in a row, that same person. That's because I paid for the gift card and patches with their money. And then I match it without giving any credit. I just match it to the community for free.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I know you are trying to stay local,
Yep.
and but you are definitely worldwide.
Mhm.
But how can people connect with you if they want to at least follow you? How can they follow you right now?
They can go to my fan page on Jula, the Mandalorian of Tucson. That's where my fan page is.
And that's on
I also,
Facebook, right?
yeah, it's on Facebook. And then also my other Facebook page is Jula Wren, Jula is my first name. Last name is Wren, Wren. And my TikTok is, because there's not enough characters for me to put Jula the Mandalorian of Tucson, I had to put Jula the Mandalorian at 520. But it's also on my Facebook fan page. It says I'm also on TikTok as Jula the Mandalorian at 520. But as far as me just trying to stay local, I do plan on trying to one of these days. I have it in my head that I want to do it, and some places that I want to stop by. I do kind of sort of want to do, I want to put not like a cross country recruitment thing, but to stop in select states and visit some people, because there's kids. I mean, because there's kids that love what I do. Their parents follow me, and so what I'll do is I'll talk to their parents and I'll get their address and I'll make a video just for them, and then I'll send them a patch and a gift card. But usually the gift card won't be a restaurant from here. It obviously be a restaurant from where they live, say in Florida. So I have foundlings in Washington, California, Texas, New Mexico, Alabama, Illinois, and Michigan for sure that I can think of off the top of my head. And then my next goal would be to try to get to, for sure, Maine, Oklahoma. Maine and Oklahoma for sure.
You make it to Oklahoma, I'll take you out for coffee.
Oh yeah, perfect. Good. So Maine and Oklahoma, only because of Danielle Walker lives there, and she's one of my big time followers and fans, so I have to see her. So Maine, Oklahoma for sure, Minnesota, and get up to Colorado and Nevada sometime, the surrounding states, because I got a lot of followers there. And then down in Mexico, I got followers from Sonora all the way down to Monterrey. I mean, even down to Ecuador. I couldn't believe it. I've never even heard of Guayaquil, Ecuador, until I started a fan page. I was like, Guayaquil, Ecuador. And this guy started sharing my videos. I was like, that is so cool. And then he got all these people. Of course, I didn't understand the comments because they were all in Spanish, but I hit the translate button. They'd be like, have this Mandalorian come to Venezuela and save us. All kinds of. I was like, whoa, man. I guess I got to go. Got some bounty work in South America for a little bit.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
That is
so
awesome.
cool. Yeah, so all these people were like, "Man, you got to come to Ecuador." I was like, I don't know if the State Department will allow that, but maybe if I can go in as a Mandalorian, who knows?
Well, I want to honor your time, and I know you have someplace else to be because you have to go
I got a
hang
little
out
more
with
time
another.
left.
You got to hang out with another foundling here in a little bit.
Yep.
Anything else that you want to share with the people who are listening?
If you guys want to follow me, the best way to donate. A lot of people ask of how they could donate because I've just share my videos is all I ask. Just randomly click on videos and scroll through any of the video on my fan page or on my personal page, Jula Wren, and just find a video that you like. And if you like it, identify with it and say it's really cool, and then just share it. And that's that. Because as long as it's the smile that I'm looking for. That's what I tell the Girl Scouts. What I'll do is I'll show up and I'll spend $100 on cookies. I'll get 20 boxes, and I'll teach the kids. Okay, this is our first social experiment. Okay. You guys have been trying to sell cookies for the last hour, right? And you guys have been doing a pretty good job. Now I want to put you on a new challenge. You're going to take these cookies and you're going to give them away. And they would try to give them away and nobody wanted them. They couldn't believe it. And they were like, they'd look up, they're like, Mando, they don't want free cookies. I don't know what's wrong with these people. And I was like, that's the thing. You know, we're especially here in Tucson, you're living in a society here where people think you're always up to something. People can never believe or trust you that you're trying to do good in the community. And so if you get out there and you really try, say, here, it's free, they're not going to take it. You got to explain to them. And in some cases, one of them was Operation Fun Fury, where we're going to make these people have fun with our fury. We're going to use fury and force to push these cookies on you for free. And you're going to take it, you're going to like it, and you're going to smile. And we would run up to people. We would walk by nonchalant, me and one Girl Scout. We would, cross the street at Walmart or something. They'd be holding my hand, and we'd walk up by a car, and I would say, look at that. See, their window is wide open. And they'd be waiting for a parking spot. Their window's wide open. We'd walk by, and I'd be like, okay, run over there and throw the cookies in their lap and run back to me. And they'll run up to their, here's some cookies, have a nice day, throw it in their cab or in their car, run and grab my hand and we run away. And you'll see people driving off, and then they'll stop and they'll like wave hi and out the window, and they're like, oh, thank you. And one guy came back and turned all the way around. He already started eating the cookies, but because he came back and did a U-turn, he's like, thanks, Mando, this is the way. I was like, yes, this is the way. And so the crowd and people on outside around the booth started seeing it, and they thought it was amazing. Everybody started pulling out their phones and recording it. We're running around the parking lot, giving cookies to people and just dropping it off in their carts and running, dropping it off on people's vehicles. It was amazing. And so when I do stuff like that with Girl Scouts and other kids in the community, we just try to push the idea of humanitarian community service kind of thing at our own sacrifice. I mean, I still try to get kids to, try to inspire them towards the STEM field, STEM learning, and personal health, and to try to influence some of the kids to get into martial arts and to teach them to be disciplined. And then when they have time, even if it's just once a month, even if you only got like an hour to come hang out with me and go do good deeds somewhere, we can go hang out and make a TikTok video at the mall or something. Really just film other people looking at us. Film
Awesome.
other people filming us. Just make people smile and laugh.
Well, Jula, it has been a pleasure having you on the show today. And I just want to thank you so much for coming on.
It has been an incredible honor, my friend. Thank you, Rick, for having me on. It's been a while since I've been on a podcast, so I've been on a couple of them, but I was definitely looking forward to this one.
I'll definitely have you back sometime.
This is the way.
It was great having Jula on the podcast today, and I love his heart for the people and the children of Tucson. Well, I'm going to put links down below to all of his social accounts so you can follow him if you'd like. Well, that's really all I have for you today. Don't forget to like, subscribe, follow, just click all those buttons, whatever buttons are down there. That way you can keep up with all of the new content as we release it. And you can find all of our social links to our YouTube channel, and to our online store at ChristianNerdsUnite.com. And while you're there, click on the support tab. We would love to have you as a Patreon. But before I go, I do want to leave you with this blessing from Philippians 1. And this is my prayer, that your love may abound more and more in knowledge and depth of insight, so that you may be able to discern what is best and may be pure and blameless for the day of Christ, filled with the fruit of righteousness that comes through Jesus Christ, to the glory and praise of God. We'll see you next week. Blessings.